Welcome to the Toffee Blues, your source for all things Everton, and welcome to the extra time segment for Newcastle nil, Everton 1, final game of the Premier League season. We're going to be looking into it. Everton sign off with a victory, with three straight victories for the first time in a long time, and it really signed off on a positive note. Charlie Alcaraz got the only goal, wins the game away at a side chasing Champions League football, and a side that eventually got it, even if they did it the hard way. So Everton sign off on a real high. You can't really ask for a better end of season, mood lifter than that. I think I'm joined by Mike from the Unholy Trinity Everton podcast. He's going to be going through this one with me. How did you feel after that one? It was a real positive one that not many were expecting, was it?
Yeah, but that was the blue maker, wasn't it? Really, you had Newcastle who had to cement the Champions League place. Ourselves who couldn't go anywhere other than stay for 13. So I think a lot of the thinking pre-match from probably our fans and pundits and things like that was, it's going to be a home win banquet. I think Everton were 10-1 to win the game, which is long odds,
Very
for
long
any game of
odds.
the season. I couldn't believe it. I can't, and I understood it. I get it, but I still think you've got to assume the players are going to be professional. And David Moyes will be absolutely delighted with that because Everton played particularly well. And you've
Did.
gone to a side, you've got Champions League football, and in my opinion, probably played better football and created the better chances.
Yeah, so going into the game, I can imagine your thoughts were similar to mine, where this feels like a dead rubber for us. They've got something to play for. They're going to outfight us.
Yeah, I think so. I think that, as I say, when you're up against a side who are fighting for something and something which is so important and something that they obviously added in a couple of seasons ago and they want to get back there again, they ploughed loads of money into the club. You just thought going up there last game of the season, there doesn't seem to be much chance of Everton getting much from the game. But I was speaking in the weekend and I just had a little sneaky suspicion we would go there and do a bit of a job. And it was even more impressive, I think, given the fact you look at the starting 11, you're missing your two best centre halves in Tarkovsky and Brandthwaite, which are two big misses. You've gone there, obviously, with Keane and O'Brien. We had Coleman get injured against Southampton, so Ashley Young comes in. And I think, looking at the start 11s, Everton really, with the injuries that we have, the players that we're missing, there's a bit of a gulf there between both sides. But it just goes to show, David Moyes has got this side well drilled, and to come away with 3 points was a huge bonus and a great way to end the season on 3 wins on the spin.
Absolutely. I thought like that was what surprised me. Like I say, I thought they were going to outfight us, but not many teams are outfighting us these days, and it's really like that fills me with a lot of pride. To be honest with you, we haven't seen that for quite some time. The sort of fire in our bellies that we've got in the squad now, and that can only bode well for next season. But we've certainly like bowed out. We haven't let the season just peter out, which it looked like it risked doing that at one stage a few weeks back. But we've certainly like I say, that was the third straight win to end the season. So everyone sort of ends the season with their heads held high a bit there.
I think momentum is key, isn't it, as well? Because you want to go into the new season. We know there's going to be after changes off and on the pitch. We're moving to a new ground, but got a lot of players who are leaving confirmed already. But to take momentum, to win those last 3 games, we probably all looked at that, didn't we? Going back even a few weeks ago and thought, Fulham away, Southampton at home, and Newcastle away. You're looking at maybe 3-4 points. There would be a decent return. So come away with 9, and be two sides who were chasing European football. Finish on a real positive note and a real high to take that into the summer, to take it into the new season. Although you've obviously got the pre-season and the summer break, it's still important to make sure that you've got players who are going to be at the club still in the new season who come away feeling good and thinking that the club are going to go in the right direction, because this summer's huge for Everton Football Club, the biggest that we're ever going to see in our lifetime. So to end this season on such a high, to match the points that we won last season as well, is some achievement. I think given when David Moyes came in, we won 3 games. He's won 8 out of 19, which is incredible. I think that's testament to the work the manager's done, but also the attitude of the players to knuckle down, like you say, hard to beat, working hard. I think are we something like third or fourth in terms of goals conceded in Europe this season in all leagues, something like that, which is unbelievable.
That's short. I don't think it can't be that good, but it mustn't be far off. But certainly we're one of the best defenses in the league, certainly, and like you say, we won 3 games all season before Dyche was sacked, and we've won that many in the last 3 weeks, which is, it's good to have that winning feeling more regularly like that because we've certainly not been used to it over the past like 3 or 4 years before Moyes came in.
I think, yeah, I mean, we've seen obviously under Sean Dyche, we were always set up weren't we, to be difficult to break down. That was always the mantra of Sean Dyche. The issue that we've had this season under him in those first 19 games was when that goes, which it did, early on, we can see that a lot of goals in those first 3 or 4 games. When that sort of hardness in the spine goes and that little bit of defensive invincibility is stripped away, and you're not scoring goals, you've got a problem. What David Moyes has brought in is sometimes a little bit more open under David Moyes, but we still seem to have that defensive solidity first of all. But what he's combined with that is giving the attacking players a little bit more freedom, a little bit more of a license, a little bit more belief as well to go and try and play a bit of football in the final third. When you're in within 20 yards, have a shot. As opposed to going back out wide all the time, trying to put a cross into the box. So I think that's been the major difference is that we've always been defensively strong under Sean Dyche, and then David Moyes has sort of continued that, but then also brought about a bit more in the final third, and those attacking numbers are much better under David Moyes. You've got a bit more quality now. Obviously, Alcaraz has had a decent impact since he came in January. Beto's started to score goals as well, which is important. And Dye scored some really important goals as well. So you started to get the players that you want to impact the game in the final third doing exactly that. And under Dyche, you felt that was a little bit restricted in a way where they were almost told to hold back, and the defensive side was more important. We had to get away from that. Everton were really boring to watch. And if we did concede, we'd all sit there and say, there's the game. We're hoping for a point. Whereas under David Moyes, you can go behind and you think, still go and win that game. And that's the difference, is that mentality, I think, in the squad as well.
Yeah, well, I think the Fulham game a couple of weeks ago when we won was, I can't recall the last time we won from behind. So to do that against Fulham the other week was really refreshing. I think you mentioned there like the players who've improved, but none more so. You mentioned there Beto. I thought Beto was excellent the first half on Sunday. I thought he really like it. I'd argue it was probably Beto's best performance in an Everton shirt on Sunday.
Yeah, I think obviously we've seen him score goals in games, haven't we? And obviously when you're striking, you're scoring goals, you get the plaudits, and rightly so. But what we've seen a bit from Beto in recent weeks is that I know he scored against Fulham, but against Southampton, his general overall play was good. Could have scored two on another day, would have held his run a little bit. But then against Newcastle, against two good centre halves, two big lads, two strong centre halves as well. His hold up play was good. He won a lot of balls in the air, which was really important. There's a great one where he flicked it on for Alcaraz just before Alcaraz scored when he got a shot away, and it was tipped wide from Pope. And what you see in there is, Beto says himself, he's not the best, is he, when it comes to the hold up play side of things, back to goal. What he's done is he's worked on that a hell of a lot. We're
You can
starting to
see
reap the
that.
rewards from that. You can, and that's what you want to see, because the biggest criticism is that he's not great at that side of the game, but he always says he's putting the work and he's trying his best. He knows he's got to improve. Now, that bodes well for the new season, doesn't it, really? The fact that you're going to have him potentially as a second striker, because we assume we're going to go out and buy a new striker. We've obviously a lot of links to the lap already, but there'll be plenty of other links to other strikers this summer. So you'd assume Beto may not be the starting striker, but if he's going to be the number two and he's coming off the bench, he's got to be able to come off the bench and make an impact. And his overall game has to improve. And we're seeing signs of that. The more game time he's been given, the better he's been getting at that side of things as well.
Definitely, I think it's just really refreshing to see a player like you say. He's not got everything about him, but it's clear that he's got a really feisty attitude and a desire to get better. And we need players like that who want to improve as the club improves. Hopefully,
Of course, I mean, attitude's really important, and we quite often in recent years have accused players of down and tools and not having the right attitude and things like that. But one thing that you can't accuse him of is not playing for the shirt, and as I say, putting the work on the training pitch, and he wants to play. He struggled when Sean Dyche wasn't giving him the opportunity to play. He really struggled, and when he scored that equaliser against Fulham, obviously all those months ago at Goodison Park, and you saw the raw emotion from Beto when he got that goal, banging the floor on his knees and what have you. That shows you what it means to be playing football, not just playing football, but playing in the Premier League at the highest level. And if one player, if you want to sort of show players coming through or players joining the club what it takes to try and make it as an Everton player, it's that attitude. You can have all the ability in the world, but if you're not switched on, you don't want to improve and learn and get better, then it just won't work. But he's been terrific, and you just hope that they do keep him in the summer. I think a lot of talk has been, well, he's a saleable asset. There's been a few clubs sniffing around him already, but we can't lose everybody. There's that many players going. We can't lose every single player from that squad, and he's one that I think I'm more than
Be
keen
going
to
anywhere,
keep.
in
He
my
shouldn't
opinion.
be, should he? He shouldn't be. There's other players who, if Everton were looking to move players on, who demand some kind of fee. For me, he's one of the ones at the bottom of the list that you'd be looking to move on because he has such a good impact and good rapport with the fans. He's a bit of a cult hero as well, which always helps. He likes that relationship with the fans. But yeah, he's done particularly well under David Moyes, that's for sure.
Yeah, I was especially pleased with his performance in this in even I mean in the entire game, but that first half I thought he really gave their players a rough ride, and we love a striker who makes life difficult for the opposition. He's a very David Moyes striker in that respect. He won't give anything up. Really hard worker, runs the channels. Moyes must be buzzing with him, but obviously the second half comes around. Anthony Gordon was anonymous, wasn't he? He got subbed. He got nutmegged by Ashley Young as well. It's like that's just poetic because we had a lot of Newcastle fans after the first game. Obviously, he missed the pen and we gave him a bit of grief, and people were like, "Oh yeah, he'll come back and he'll relegate us in May." So how's that going for you?
Yeah,
But yeah,
he struggled, didn't he? He struggled against Ashley Young. And to be honest with you, I was on a Newcastle podcast on Thursday previewing the game, and obviously he always gets brought up, doesn't he, Anthony Gordon? And even they're thinking is since that red card when he missed that League Cup final, he's really struggled. One to get back into that side because Harvey Barnes has come in and done really really
Barnes
well.
has been solid. Yeah,
Yeah, he's had a really good impact for them. And so Gordon struggled in that sense. And it was the first time since he's been there that he faced the wrath of the fans. It's always been a loving for Anthony Gordon. And to be fair, he's gone there. He's done well. He's scored goals. He's impacted games. But every time that he's played against Everton, he's massively struggled. And I think it gets into his head. You talk about Jordan Pickford going to St. James's Park and how that gets into his head. And you look at this Pickford's performance at the weekend and how he's now that more composed the last sort of thing 2 or 3 years going up there. He's been that much better. He's more switched on. Anthony Gordon needs to sort of learn that side of the game, but he massively struggled and he had no impact on the game. The only thing he did was go past Ashley Young and dive and win a free kick, which was laughable to be honest with you. It was a
it wasn't
really
a free kick. Let's be honest.
there was no contact. You saw the impact of that. You saw the reaction of Ashley Young when the referee's given a free kick. It was absolutely embarrassing. But he got no look, no change at all from Ashley Young, and he was hooked at half time. And it tells you everything that you need to know really about how he performed on the day. But again, you got to take your hat off to the fullbacks who dealt with him particularly well. We know Ashley Young obviously is leaving the club. 39 years of age, solid professional. Bit of a shame to see him go, to be honest with you. I think as a sort of utility player, someone who can be a squad player and come in and play a variety of positions for 15, 20 minutes. He's the kind of player that you want around the club, to be honest with you, especially as a bit of a leader as well. And he's done well in the 2 years he's been there. So a real shame to see him go, I think. But he played well at the weekend. I think that defensively we were solid again. O'Brien, Keane was a little bit ropey at times, but I think O'Brien probably coached him through the game quite well. Mikalenko, nice assist for him. David Moyes wants his fullbacks to be getting high and putting decent balls in. So I think that second half especially shows what this Everton side's all about, and that we can go to these better sides and not only pick up points here and there, but go win a game of football. But not just win a game of football, deserve to win a game of football as well.
Yes, certainly, and Yeah, I don't think there was any bad performances in our squad throughout the whole game, really. I thought everyone played pretty well. Um, yeah, Alcaraz in particular, though, like, he got the goal. He was lively as he so often is when he plays. Uh, he's got to stick around, hasn't he?
I think it's a no-brainer, isn't it? I mean, I know Everton are speaking to his club currently, and for 15 million euros, it's absolutely if we don't go and get him, I think there'd be a massive regret there because you think who else could you get? I know that's a bit of a sort of very, very broad question because there's players out there, but for that kind of money, someone who, by the way, has now had sort of 4 or 5 months at the club, he's had a really good impact. The fans have really taken to him. He's a natural evolution from a number 10 like the core. He's the evolution of that now to a more technical number 10. You can carry the ball, you can contribute obviously with goals and with assists. Fabulous header, by the way, Tim Cahill-esque. It's being compared to, but Everton that's a deal we've got to get done and get done quickly.
Let's
I
just
know some
sort that
people.
out. There's no more messing. Just get it done.
But you don't want to lose out on him, do you? Because you know other sides will have been watching him at Everton and know that he's Premier League ready. He's that level, and they'll be looking to snaffle him on a really cheap deal. But Everton might be thinking, well, can we drag it out and get it into the new year in terms of the 1st of July to gamble? Of course, if there's wiggle room there, then you go and get it done. It's as simple as that. You just go and get it done. And to be fair, I think there should be, but we can't afford to wait because it's the most obvious signing, and it's not it's another player that we haven't got to try and bed in the new season. He knows the side, he knows the manager, knows how we play. So straight away he started in that first game of the season, and he knows exactly what he needs to do. So that's got to be done, as you say, as quickly as possible.
And as you mentioned before, there's loads of players going. There's a lot of work to be done in the transfer market. The last thing we need to do is lose out on him and give ourselves even more work to do.
Oh,
Like,
there's
it's
so
a no-brainer.
the turnover of players is just going to be ridiculous. I mean, you see the Corey's going, Ashley Young, the two goalkeepers. Every day that passes, it looks like Garnagay could potentially be off, which is it's absolute travesty. But all the loan players have gone back, bar Alcaraz, who was trying to do a deal for. So I was looking at the 13, 14 players who were either out of contract or the loan deal was up, and I was thinking, listen, go try and keep half of them, really. But now we're down to, Alcaraz, Michael Keane, Dominic Calvert-Lewin, maybe Garner Gay. I mean, Seamus Coleman, probably coaching capacity. I think he's finished. He's just he gets injured too often. And it's a real shame the way it's sort of ended for him in that sense. But he knows himself whether the time is right. But we're looking at maybe keeping 4 or 5 as opposed to maybe 6 or 7. So you've got a massive, massive gap there in terms of number of players that we've got to try and make up. So that's hard to do in one window. It really, really is.
There's a
So there
lot
will
of
be
work to be done.
a lot of work to be done. A lot of loan market will be used. The free transfer market will be used. We're not going to get to the level we want to get to in one window either. We've got to remember that it's going to be sort of small steps, I think, early on. But yeah, a lot of work for the manager and Angus Kinnear to get on with over the course of the summer, which I'm sure has started already.
You've got to hope so because we need, like I say, we need to hit the ground running as much as we can, certainly with the transfers. But yeah, just one last thing on the obviously it's the final game, end the season on a real high. David Moyes, you've mentioned there, he's improved our like style of play a lot as well. I think it's not as much of a chore to watch Everton now, is it?
No,
And that's
I
the best thing
mean,
you can
as we
say.
know, under Sean Dyche, how many fans were saying going a game became a chore, didn't it? And you went out of loyalty more than enjoyment. You weren't getting anything from the game, and it was a hard watch. And I don't want to sit here and just slate Sean Dyche because for 18 months he did a really, really good job, and it was difficult for him. It really, really was. But I think this season, for the 19 league games that he was in charge, to win only 3 with that side that I felt was more balanced than the previous 18 months. I thought we'd done some decent work in the transfer market. I thought that the constant messaging of 17th is as good as it can get for this side, I think didn't sort of help us as fans. But when the players keep on hearing that as well, they start believing it, and that's wrong. So David Moyes has certainly brought Everton back, and the Everton that we know and love, and we're more watchable. It's more enjoyable. Even games when we sort of thrown away leads or we might have lost games, you always get the sense that we're in every single game. We haven't really been blown away by anybody under David Moyes as such. A few disappointing performances, but all in all, I think on the whole, Everton have done particularly well. And if we didn't blow those 2-0 leads against Ipswich and Manchester United, another 4 points, and that would have been an absolutely incredible turnaround. But listen, it does. I mean, people say about knowing the club. He knows what we want as fans and what we expect. The way that he talks is much more positive. He talks about qualifying for Europe. He talks about getting back up there. He mentions about we want to be what Newcastle are doing, and looking at the Champions League and Forest this season. And he's right. We shouldn't just be saying
Aiming for that,
7 seats as good as it gets.
no chance. Especially with a bit of money behind us. Hopefully now you've got to really hope that we spend a bit of money, even if we don't take the Mickey. We don't want to obviously blow all the money, but if we make some sensible business and build the team quite steadily, I don't see why we can't do that. Maybe not next year, but maybe the year after or after that. Like it might take a bit more time, but I'm sure that's got to be the ambition.
Yeah, I think Moyes is obviously got a 2.5 year deal, so he's almost sort of 6 months in, not far off really. So a couple of years to go on that. And I think the aim is for David Moyes to come in, stabilise things. Obviously, the off the field stuff is sorted, which is really, really important. That was a huge distraction to everybody. That's been rectified. David Moyes will come in and service 2.5 years, in my opinion, and hand the reins over with the club in a much better position and at the right end of the table. Not probably not at our final destination. Listen, we want to be challenging right at the top end of the table if we can do it. It's a big jump, but you've got to look to dream big and try and compete with those big clubs who are in the Champions League year in year out. But I think he'll leave us after sort of 2.5 years in a really good position and hand over the reins to somebody else to then take the club on again. But as you say, with having a bit of money behind us, and not going into a transfer window where we're looking to buy players with no money to put us down as a down payment, and can we start paying you in 12 months' time? That reflects the level of player that you get in. So now we should be in the mix for a better quality of player, which then makes us more competitive in the Premier League.
That's got to be the plan now. It's hopefully onwards and upwards from here. And just one thing you mentioned about Moyes having that 2.5 year deal. I hope that he does so well that we can extend that. Obviously, that's stage was just guesswork, but fingers crossed that he does so well that we don't want him to go.
Yeah, I think obviously you always want a manager to outstay the contract in a way, because, like you say, that's a sign of on-field success. So if he's here longer than 2.5 years, then he's doing particularly well. It's whether what was the sort of MO when he came in. What did he say to the club? Is there a plan in place for 2 years' time when his contract is up, or is it a case of seeing how he does? And like you say, if he's still here in 3.5, 4 years' time, then he's doing well.
Done something right then, clearly.
Yeah, of course. And since he left Everton, he's had ups and downs, of course, but he's gone away. He's now a much more mature football manager. He's less angry, I think, than when he was first with us. He's learned a lot. He's gone away. He's achieved success with West Ham, which was a great achievement for them. He had them regularly qualifying for Europe. We all strive for that. Being in European competition, those European away days, and getting into the latter stages of those competitions and trying to win them. Getting out there. We came close, didn't we? There's always a feeling that the year when we got beat by Fiorentina at Goodison, that was the year, wasn't it, when we had a real
Really,
a
yeah.
real chance.
And the thing is, with the West Ham obviously won that Conference League. We'd have won that 3 or 4 times if it
Yeah.
was knocking about when Moyes was in charge, because that was a competition probably built for Moyes' Everton of the late 2000s. If it was a thing back then, we probably would have been quite successful in that. But that's all obviously hypotheticals. But that's where we need to be now. We need to, at the very least, be in that. If not, go 1 or 2 better and get in the Champions League's obviously the ultimate aim, but obviously quite a way away just yet. But that'd be excellent. That's the sort of trajectory that we want the club to go on. And obviously, you could hope David Moyes could deliver it himself. And if he can't, then surely you want him to just leave us in a better place than he found us, which is, you know, you've got to hope that's the case as well. Like, or Moyes is more than capable of at least improving us and kicking us on a bit.
Yeah, and I think now he's got all the fans on side, hasn't he? That, when he came back to the club, there was still a percentage of fans who were like, "Well, we should never go back. I don't want Moyes back." They couldn't get over the way he left the club, and we got no kind of payment from Manchester United, and he was tapped up, and he ran his contract down, and whatever it might be. And time's a great year, I think, for most people, and I had no reservations in him coming back,
Me neither.
and I felt a bit of a sense of relief because you knew what you were getting. And it does help that he's been here before, but most people obviously took him back in really, really well. And I think those that didn't, I think that we're now at a point end of this season where he's proven them all wrong. And I think most, if not all, Everton fans are now on side to believe that David Moyes is back. He's the right man in charge at the current moment. He's done what he was expected to do, and we're in a much better position with him in charge now going into Bramley Moore. And this window, hopefully, he can prove that he can take this squad forward and buy the right quality and right kind of player to take us to that next level. But like I say, it's a big job this summer. Exciting one, I think. I think we're all going to enjoy it.
I hope
But
so.
there's going to be a lot of change, I think. So that side, the last side that finished at Goodison Park in Southampton, will look totally different, I think, to the side that starts that first game at Bramley Moore.
Yeah, well, like I say, there's a lot of upheaval and a lot of change to the playing staff alone this summer. So, we'll obviously lock in and keep an eye on what's going to happen. Like I say, the season finished last weekend, so silly season starts now. All the transfer rumours, all the nonsense. So, everyone get yourself strapped in. It's going to be a colourful, 2 or 3 months before the window shuts, and we'll see what happens. But we'll be bringing you a load of that content here on the Toffee Blues in the next couple of months. All the news and all the rumours. So make sure you tune in, give us a subscribe. You know what to do. Obviously, check out Mike's podcast as well. Holy Trinity. There's going to be a lot to look ahead to in the next couple of months. So there you have it, guys. Let us know your opinions on the final game of the season and obviously what the future holds as well, the summer ahead. Get the comments coming in. Give us a like and, like I say, subscribe as well for more content. Until next time, guys. Thanks for watching on the Toffee Blues.